The moment a boy turns into a man is the moment that he stops following and he starts leading. Gents, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing okay. Now, there are going to be times in life where you are working your way up. You are following others. You're learning from them. They're more experienced than you. This can be in work, or this can just be in life generally. There is a certain point where you must be a follower. You've got to take in bits of new information. You've got to adapt to current cultures, current ways that things are done. But over time, you should start to find yourself in more positions of leadership. But unfortunately, a lot of guys will be followers forever because they have a follower mindset. If they're amongst a bunch of friends and the friends are acting a certain way, they will follow. They will act that way, even if deep down they don't want to act that way. Maybe it involves getting really drunk every Friday and Saturday. They want to make a change, but it's what all their friends do. So they follow along. And they follow along, sometimes at great personal cost. Now, most successful guys have a moment where it clicks. They realize that in order to have the life that they want and to really feel a sense of peace within themselves, that they've got to stop following. And they've got to start leading. And that starts by leading yourself away from the things that you don't like about your life. And it starts really, really small. By making these small decisions that are better for you tomorrow. So in my life, I realized that the friends that I used to hang around with, although not terrible people, were getting me into terrible habits. And I'm responsible for how I act, so I'm not attributing the blame, but it is a fact that when you are around people and they act a certain way all the time, it is normal in some senses that you are going to act similar to the group. We are products of our environment. But I was finding myself in a situation where I knew that I needed to take a step away because alcohol was having a bad impact on my life. Other things as well. Poor sleep, poor diet, poor mindset. So I decided to take a step away from those environments. Now, what I discovered is that actually, when you step away and you stop drinking, a lot of your friends, they don't choose to hang around with you after that, because the only environments that you did hang around with them in the first place were in the pub, were alcohol related, were club related. And for me, that was a bit sobering, because I'd not yet met the new friends that were into the healthy habits that I'd started to take up, like taking the gym a little bit more seriously. I've always been to the gym, but really prioritizing my health and eating clean and not drinking. Maybe reading, doing some more studying. At that time I was at university. Hopping onto the personal development, taking it more seriously, learning about the world of business, learning about sales, all of these different things. I hadn't yet met the people that were going down that path also, but I knew I needed to stay disciplined. I knew I just needed to lead myself down a new path. So I kept doing that, and eventually I bumped into some people who had similar interests to me. Normally it was through the gym, but it was also through university, speaking to people who I wouldn't normally speak to before. And I really started to build up a network of good friends and good people. And look, what starts to happen is when you start to lead yourself in this way, get away from the bad habits, get away from the people that are pushing you into the bad habits, you form a group of people that are on a similar wavelength. Now, within that group, not everybody's going to be perfect. There's going to be people who fluctuate with good habits and bad habits. But you then, by being consistent with yourself, being disciplined with yourself, have a positive effect on other people, because we are a product of our environment. And that can be in a bad sense. You know, if we're in a bad environment, you're going to get into bad habits. It's not always a fact. It's not always a given. There are some people that are so mentally resilient that they do away with that fact. They say that's rubbish. You're in control, and you do very well, I would say, if your environment is predominantly a bad one to escape that environment, but you can. But most of the time it's hard. But on the flip side, it does work the other way as well. You're in a good environment, it's definitely going to help you. You're around disciplined guys that take their success and their future seriously, guys that take their health seriously. Naturally, there's going to be an element that's going to rub off on you, and you're going to rub off on them. So if you're consistent and you lead yourself, when your friends need a bit of a pickup, when your friends are struggling, they're going to look to you. They're going to come to you for help. They're going to come to you for support. All because you took care of the most important thing at the very start, yourself. Getting away from those bad habits. Getting away from bad groups of people that aren't serving you. And trying to implement good habits. Trying to do good. Trying to progress. Trying to grow. And over time, the right people will recognize that. And when they need a helping hand, you can then not only lead yourself, but start to lead them. And this is where you escape this sort of follower mentality. This mentality of doing what the group does. And if you do ever find yourself following, it's not necessarily the bad type of following. Because not all following in and of itself is bad. If you're following somebody who is doing all the right things, then you're going in the right direction. But this sort of negative type of following, where everybody's getting drunk because everybody's getting drunk, everybody's doing drugs because everybody's doing drugs, that's not going to help you, that's not going to serve you, and you know that. So if you're finding yourself in this position, ask yourself, where do you want to be in 10 years' time? Do you want to be hanging around with those guys? Doing the same thing? Because they will be there. I see it all the time in real life. People that were doing the same thing 10 years ago, they're still doing it today, and it gets sadder as they get older. It gets sadder. And if you're a guy who's serious about himself, serious about your future, maybe having kids one day, having a family, then you got a responsibility to stop following, to stop going down that path, because the further you get, the harder it is to turn around. You got a responsibility to yourself to start leading and stop following, and that leadership starts with you, leading yourself away from that bad path, leading yourself into good habits, and leading yourself towards good people. And then when you meet those people, there's going to be times where they're going to need some leadership from you. They're going to need some support from you. We're not perfect. We will slip. There are times I slip, right? And I have a good network of friends that are on the same wavelength with me, that's been curated over a long period of time, because I took that decision to step away from the old environments that weren't serving me. Now, I don't have any hostility towards any of the people that I used to hang around with. We just don't really speak anymore, and that's okay, because I know now that I'm in a much better position than I was then. So it's good to ensure that you're not doing this sort of hostile, aggressive goodbye or anything like that. You know, you don't want to be burning bridges and damaging relationships and putting a target on your back. But what I am saying to you is that if your current friend group is not serving you well, if you know that deep down they don't really care about you, you know, you hang out but you're drinking buddies, you hang out but only in certain contexts, and you know that they're going down a path that you don't want to go down, save yourself some pain and step away. Because it's less painful to step away, contrary to popular belief, because a lot of people are fearful of actually taking that step away and going. It's less painful to step away than it is to hang around. You've got to ask yourself, how do you actually feel being friends with these people, being around these people, following them. That's more painful. You need to start being a leader, and that leadership starts with you. And the things that you do on a daily basis, the things that you do that no one sees, right? And after a period of time that you've led yourself and you've been through that sort of lonely stage where you don't really have any friends because you don't know anybody who's on the same wavelength with you, there's going to be a time where you do meet new friends. And you're going to start leading them because you've led yourself. You've built yourself up, you've got yourself away from the bad habits, and you've become competent. You've become a guy that's worthy of respect, and within the right environment, that's going to be rewarded. There's going to be times where people look to you for guidance, people look to you for help, and vice versa from time to time. But the only way to really stop being a follower and stop going along with the crowd is to really ask yourself, is this something that I want long term? And if not, subsequently break away. Because the longer you leave it, the harder it is to go. And I believe there is nothing more fulfilling than knowing that you are leading yourself and the people that you love and care about to a good life, to a meaningful life. That's all we're after. Purpose. And you're not going to get that by following the crowd, especially following the wrong crowd. Okay? If you took some value from this video today, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to my channel if you are new around here, and comment your thoughts down below. As always, thank you for your time and your attention, and I'll see you in the next one.